point where someone came along and really boosted your chances to go England rugby way, or could it have been really bad and you'd end up with a couple of bad ones and maybe you didn't follow the path you did?
I mean, that's a great question. I mean,
could have been Welsh.
Yeah, I mean, you know the story. I trialled for Wales under 18.
You wouldn't have got into the Welsh team.
Do you know how many Welsh fans have said that? I would have won more Grand Slams if I had, but they said I wouldn't got in the team. No, I trialled for Wales under 18s at the same time as England under 18s, and I got named in both squads, and I had to call up. I spoke to my dad and I was like, listen, there was 2 years at England, only 1 year at Wales, and I had to call up the Welsh guy and say, listen, I'm so sorry, I'm gone for England. He was like, I don't understand that. What do you mean? You're more Welsh than anyone. And I was like, no, I'm not. He goes, no, come on, your family's from Upper Cumberland. And I was like, no, I actually can't. And now my name's Mud, and that's why they all hate me in Wales.
Oh, really?
So yeah, but I could have done that. But my journey in sport was kind of
a tricky decision.
It was because I would have won more Grand Slams. Warren Gatland was the coach, and Sean Evans was the coach.
You didn't know that then.
They didn't know that then, but it was kind of
tricky decision anyway at the time.
And they're both amazing nations. But the coaches for me, I think at school was I never wanted to be a rugby player, but I got into it as kind of a path of excellence. And then once I got failure initially at kind of age like 15, I got knocked back. I saw it as an opportunity to come back and work harder because I hadn't put the work and I hadn't done what I needed to do and taught me commitment. And that's what set me up on the journey. Well, I think you were probably a bit more of a natural talent.
No, it's very similar. You know, I was uber competitive, having an older brother, 3.5 years older than me. It was always chasing him and always trying to compete at his level. And then I never really achieved anything until my last year at school. I always could play county, but never made the next step. And it built a real chip on my shoulder because I thought I was better than these guys I was playing at school. You play against the guys at school and everything. And then it was coach, really, Jeff Wappett, who coached Bradford Grammar School, who were our local rivals. He was also England coach. So he'd seen me play for years against Bradford. And he kept me hanging around, gave me an opportunity. And because I was so angry at not getting ever further, I was what you call a chief nose at training. Yeah. So if they weren't going to pick me, I was going to either hurt someone at training or I was going to go and prove to them that I was good enough. So Alex Sanderson was the number 8 in the North, and every time we'd be practicing him picking up number 8, and I'd be trying to belt him. So I was and Jeff was a tough northerner, he just loved it. So he kept me around, got me a game for the either the Midlands or the Southwest. I scored a couple in that on England trial off the back of that, and then didn't go. I had a really bad 5 minutes, but he kept me around again. And then Tom May went on a study leave, and I got 2 games, and then he never got back in. Yeah. So it was. But
did you only ever play rugby though?
Well, I would say athletics was the only other thing I was good at.
What do you do in athletics?
High jump.
Did you? Shut up. You can't lie to people on this is not right.
1 metre 87.
All right, calm down. All right, God.
What's that just tall you?
Yeah. I had a Northern England try.
How tall
I forgot to go because
I'm 6'3". Yeah.
Whatever that translates as.
Yeah. 0 spring.
I was thinking in terms of height of what you jumped.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
but it'd be just
below my
height. Yeah, just below me it would be slightly.
Which is unbelievable. I tried to jump like 1 metre 20 the other day when Mia was doing sports.
I've seen you trip up the stairs, which I didn't think was possible, but you did.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work there. Yeah.
Would you mind if I asked you about your sporting success and where it came from, the drive that you had, how you look back on it now, going to the Olympics, gold at Berlin?
I grew up riding, which helped, I suppose. So it seemed like the obvious choice. But it quite often is more than luck than good judgment to find the right animal at the right time. Then that gets you started, or it doesn't. And it's the same with children. If they get a miserable pony that keeps dumping and they don't go on, if you get the right pony, absolutely, they're away.
Yeah.
And to come up with a horse that was bred actually to play polo, but grew and turned into an international 3-day event horse was quite surprising.
And how do you look back now on the success of Peter? I think it was under 16 and under 18 for Scotland. What were you like as a sort of a touchline mum in those days?
I was brilliant.
Right. Silly question.
I could just imagine if anyone was injured.
Yes. Yeah. Well, funnily enough, his housemaster said exactly that to me. I think we were playing in Edinburgh. I can't remember who they're playing in, one of the schools there. And there was a sort of, over the far side, there was a bit of a crunch, and he'd gone onto the floor, and Ben said, can't believe you're not running over there. I said, it'd be ridiculous. And I said, anyway, if I got there, he'd hurl abuse at me, so I'm going to stay here. Thank you very much. I'm the same with Zara. I mean, I'd done it. People were kind enough to let me take part in what was then, still is, I suppose, quite a dangerous sport.
Yeah.
I'm not going to turn around and say, no, am I? That would be really silly.
Yeah. And so, Zara obviously winning silver at the Olympics. Do you go on an emotional journey watching her do what she does? Do you leave it to the end and sort of congratulate? Or
I'm when people say, do you enjoy what you do? Only the end
Only
do
the
you
end.
actually enjoy looking at.
Yeah.
So no, not much. There's too many things that can go wrong. No, I think I'm pretty good.
We were sat next to each other, weren't we, in Aachen?
Yes, well, we were standing.
When the bell went.
We were standing in the entrance, and we couldn't. She couldn't hear the bell. That was.
And I honestly say, I get excited, nervous. I never get like nervous. But when it's someone else, and you've heard the bell and she hasn't heard the bell, and then everyone else has heard the bell, and the person who needed to hear the bell hasn't, and everyone's going.
The group on in the entrance to the were literally all yelling, "The bell is gone!" across the road, and she hadn't heard it because they were still clapping the previous rider, who was a German.
Would you debrief? With my mum, however I played or whatever I did, she said I was amazing because she had absolutely no taste and obviously rose-tinted glass.
You've ended up.
My dad was a bit more scathing, but my mum was just very sweet, but she didn't really know what she was looking at. Having been there and done that, did it make it easier to kind of have a conversation, or did you steer away from that, or were you able to give some constructive sort of,
Well,
feedback?
after a certain stage, I mean, I did all the early bit, so I did all the horsebox driving until she finally got her HGV license, and then when she got good enough, and her father started to, no, that's not quite true, but it did go on from there, because that's what he does professionally, and I'd just done the early bit. So after that, if I made a comment, I was usually told I was a dinosaur. I have no idea what I was talking about.
The only time I heard cried watching sport was when Zara won. I think it was the European Championship.
Well, that was incredible.
I was down in Exmoor, I think at the time.
I can remember. 'Cause
camping, yeah.
You came back and you said, I've never been
We were all
so proud of
hustled around the
anyone."
phone watching it.
Yeah.
And she was there, she was blubbing away, the flag was going up, and
Yeah.
I was just like, I was in pieces. I was so proud.
We're in
It's
the
like, and
collective
that's
wing, I
the thing
think,
what
we're
sport
trying
can
to
do.
be
It makes you
entirely sensible.
At Tyndall Towers, when you go into obviously you guys have been the bar, there is just a stack of medals and rosettes everywhere, like 50 deep.
None of them mine.
None of them, and then right at the back, there's some dusty old gold World Cup winners medal.
Relegation.
Yeah.
the bottle.
Yeah.
There's a Parker Pen shield.
But what it leads on to very nicely is obviously you have front row seats to some of the most amazing sporting events. London 2012 would be interesting off the back of it. Because, I mean, as a coming together and a nation and an event, how do you remember that?
That was phenomenal. And I think Chris Hoy at the Velodrome was one of my most all-time favourite moments. We were both there, and shouting and yelling as Chris and the team went round and more medals came along, and it got more and more exciting. Bear in mind, that was the first time I think the British public got into cycling in such a big way.
In the Velodrome.
Yeah, and it was the cauldron of noise, and it was just so exciting watching the sport, and that was a truly spine-tingling moment.
Yeah.
But I think also from that moment, what I've noticed is the Paralympics particularly, that was a huge moment for disability sport taking off, and it's obviously got bigger and bigger since then. But 2012 was a turning point when everyone watched the Paralympics. Everyone went, oh my goodness, this is what everyone can do, and they should have more opportunities, and this is fantastic. And so that was a big turning point I've noticed since that moment.
Yeah. Do you find it quite hard to retain the face of professionalism and sort of neutrality, I suppose, if you are watching Wimbledon, whoever it might be? Do you have to concentrate quite hard on?
Yeah, sort of like internalising those emotions.
That's who you're sitting next to, isn't it?
Yes.
No, it is really challenging, but watching sport live is like no other. You know, watching it on telly is very exciting, but watching it live, I think, to soak up the atmosphere is extraordinary. And actually, off the back of 2012, I was absolutely gutted to have missed Andy Murray's game.
Yes.
When he won his gold medal against Federer. That's one of the sort of highlights for me, sort of watching at home, going, I wish I was there in person, because, you know, those moments are extraordinary to be part of. And as a spectator, you get sort of drawn into the highs of that winning team or the winning individual. But yeah, it is hard, particularly when Wales and England are playing against each other.
Yeah.
Wales England is not an easy match.
Can you watch that together, or do you have separate televisions in separate rooms, and sort of can you hear down the corridor?
We'll just run in and go, and then run back.
Text message.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a certain amount of bravado that goes on around the Wales England game, depending who's winning.
We've never been, I don't think I've ever been as excited about Rugby World Cup in terms of what you can deliver in France. Looking good. Even though you're in a horrible
Listen,
group.
I don't do huge amounts of optimism in anything. I tend to assume the worst. If you're around horses for any length of time, you don't do optimism.
Well, yeah.
You just do hope it's all right on the day. But when it comes to people like Fiji, I mean, actually one of the nicest things I have ever done was being able to give Fiji the first gold medal for when rugby sevens in Rio, which was a real pleasure, I have to say. I mean, it's just made such a good impact.
You've been around that Scottish team. You've ridden the waves and seen the plateaus as well. Do you think this is the best Scottish team that there's been when you've
been
watching?
The Grand Slam teams, which is probably very hard to judge the difference because they're quite a long way apart.
Yeah.
But that was they were very good in that period. But our big shortage is sheer people. Actually, the Rugby World Cup analysis has quite some interesting points to make about the membership, so registered members of players in each country, which was actually fascinating.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it says there's only 44,000 registered players in Scotland. That's tiny. That makes, compared to lots of other people. That's the challenge. And so, I like visiting rugby clubs and trying to keep their focus.
It'd be interesting because if Scotland do really well, it will define Scottish rugby since probably the Hastings era. I mean, like Gavin Hastings for me, I grew up watching Scottish rugby then and going, they're a good team. But you're right, maybe this is a better team.
Philly Calders and John Jeffries and
Gary Armstrong.
Well, I have to say Gary Armstrong would be one of my all-time favourites. He was quite extraordinary.
Yeah.
I mean, the places he went to and came out of with the ball were just extraordinary.
I got capped in 2000. I remember numerous times you coming to watch England play at that point. Was rugby always still a part of your early on in your life, or did you glory sport when you saw it was going well in that early 2000 period? Did you jump on the bandwagon?